Hello, everybody, and welcome to this AFC South show 46. I'm your host, Curtis Brown, and joined as always by my main man, Blake.
Yes, sir.
I'm a resident Texans fan. He's a resident Titans fan. And we're looking eventually to get some more diversity on this AFC South show, bringing in Colts and Jaguars fans. If anybody's interested, please hit us up at Curtis PD Network on Twitter. But so let's dive in first to our let's do our fantasy teams first.
Okay.
So the fantasy week last week for me did not go well. I'm in 3 leagues, lost all 3 games. They weren't like blowouts, but it's just disheartening. Just disheartening. But this week I got off to a good start. I had Herbert in a Thursday night game. He got me 23.46, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Mike Evans, Thielen, Waller, Hines, the Baltimore defense, and the Buffalo Bills kicker Bass. That's who I'm starting in this AFC South show league. Blake, what are you working with?
First off, I was the exact opposite of you when it came to success last week. I have 4 leagues, went 4-0, blew out in 3 of them. One of the leagues is with like other different AFC South one, and all I needed was Jerry Jew to get like 12 points. He ended up getting 15 in a standard league, so I went 4-0. Hopefully 4-0 again this week. For hours that we have for the AFC South show, I got Patrick Mahomes. He had me 17.3 points. Not great, but I'll take 17 points all day. I got Antonio Gibson, Rashad Penny, Cooper Kupp, Monroe St. Brown, Mark Andrews. In my flex, I got Elijah Moore for now, Packers defense, and Daniel Carlson. And my bench right now has got Breece Hall, George Kittle, Kenneth Walker, Justin Fields, an injured Wendell Robinson, Commanders defense, and then Josh Palmer, who I picked up in almost all 4 of my leagues this week, and he got 13 points on the bench.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Packers defense in one of my other leagues, and they definitely disappointed me.
They're playing Chicago, though, this week, and Justin Fields is good for at least 2 turnovers. So I'm banking on that, and they'll probably get some sacks, too.
Yeah, probably. But, okay. All right. So let's move seamlessly now into our pick'ems. For this AFC South show, I chose the Chiefs, and I was correct on Thursday night. Usually we try to do these on Thursdays, but schedule is not permitting. Blake didn't get to choose his, so he got penalized.
Yes, I lost one.
Yeah.
I would have picked the Chiefs, but woulda, coulda, shoulda. I didn't pick it in time, so I lost.
Basically. And now we've got, what is it? How many games do we have every week? Is it 16 games?
As of right now, it's like, I think it's 15. Because I'm 8-8 right now, but that's what this week.
Right.
So I don't know.
How's that? There's 32 teams, so it'd be 16.
16.
Yeah.
We had to pick one last week.
I don't know. Maybe we skipped one or something. Oh, because the tie.
The tie is what it was, yeah.
The tie. Okay. So I'm 10-6, including the Chiefs win. And just a brief rundown of who I've got chosen this week. Browns over the Jets, Lions over the Commanders, Bucks over the Saints, Panthers over the Giants, Steelers over the Patriots, Jaguars over the Colts, Ravens over the Dolphins, Rams over the Falcons, 49ers losing to the Seahawks, Bengals over the Cowboys, just because I'm a Texans fan, Texans over the Bronx. And then I've got the Raiders beating Arizona, Packers beating the Bears, the Bills beating the Titans, and the Vikings beating the Eagles to round out week 2. How about you, Blake?
Some of them are pretty similar. We start off with the same. I got the Browns over the Jets, Lions over Commanders, also the Bucks over the Saints. Where it starts getting different, I have the Giants over the Panthers. I have the Patriots over the Steelers. I also have the Jaguars over the Colts, especially since all the injuries in against the Colts. Like
They
Darius
got
Leonard's hurt, Michael Pittman's gonna be gone.
Alec Pierce.
Yeah. Oh, and Alec Pierce is hurt. So it's gonna be rough. They're playing in Jacksonville. I don't think the Colts have beaten Jacksonville since like 1995. So I'm gonna roll with Jacksonville, and I'll have another Florida team winning. I actually had Dolphins over the Ravens. They look pretty good. I know it was just against the Patriots, but anytime you can beat a division opponent like that, that's pretty good for your team.
Yeah.
I also had the Ravens over the Falcons. I chose the 49ers over Seattle. I don't believe in Geno Smith whatsoever. I also have Bengals over the Cowboys. I am taking the Broncos over the Texans. I don't see Russell Wilson losing twice in a row.
Yeah, he doesn't do it often.
I got Raiders over the Cardinals, Packers over the Bears. And I actually have the Titans over the Bills. I'll get into that later. It's not just me being a fan. I really do think Titans will win, even though they only have a 2% chance of winning according to Yahoo. And then Vikings over the Eagles.
Hell yeah. If you don't like any of our choices or you love them, go ahead and let us know in the comment sections which one you agree with or which ones we're absolutely crazy for saying. I think there are definitely a couple of games like the Jags over the Colts. That'd be a huge upset. The Titans over the Bills would be a pretty big upset. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I won't be upset.
Well, I know. I don't know. There's just a couple games this week where you look at it and you're like, it kind of could go either way. And I think the Titans and Bills is a little closer to that than this 2.35% of people choosing the Titans to win. So I don't know what that's all about, but that's where we're at, folks. So let's dive into some more in-depth AFC South AFC South news. Let's lead off here with the game in Florida. Indianapolis traveling to Jacksonville, a place where they haven't won in reality since 2015. Let's just soak that in. 2015. That's 7 years ago.
Yeah, Barack Obama was still president. Context.
Yeah. Indianapolis, like we mentioned, no Michael Pittman Jr., no Alec Pierce, no Shaq Leonard. There's a couple other people that are questionable. But when you're down your top two wideouts, you're going to go into the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars and feel comfortable with your number one wideout being Paris Campbell? No. You're not comfortable with it at all.
No.
You're really kind of hoping that Doolin and some of those other guys can step up and, meet the call to the come up. You know what I mean? I don't know if they've got that. Paris Campbell's been in the league for 3 years. This is his fourth season. And he's very clearly never been more than a 3, but he's been as low as a 5. So
yeah, he's not good at football.
I wouldn't say he's not good at football. He's just not what they need right now. They need a clear-cut number one, or at least a backup, somebody behind Michael Pittman. So Michael Pittman had like 13 targets last week, caught 9 catches, 121 yards and a touchdown. The next closest person was Alec Pierce as far as a wideout. Mm-hmm. And he had 0 catches and 2 targets. Doolin had like 3 catches. So, I mean, like, they know how to stretch the field occasionally, but like, if it's not Pierce, or shit, if it's not Pittman, it's Jonathan Taylor or one of the tight ends, if possible. And I don't remember hearing anything about any of the tight ends last week.
No, I think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor's going to get like at least 30 touches. I mean, Paris Campbell, he only got 3 catches last week. He only has like 35 his entire career. I just don't see him being very much do anything in this game.
Yeah.
I'm honestly shocked he's still a Colt. That just shows you how much they need depth at the wide receiver position.
For real though, I mean,
he's a early second round pick, and yeah, he's done nothing. He's got like 35 catches in his career. Like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. No, I mean, especially, I feel like anybody drafted out of Ohio State, there's like, oh, he's a freak athlete. They rarely turn into anything.
Yeah, and he's always had injury concerns as well. It's just you can't trust this guy. I see a lot of people picking him up in fantasy, and no, man. I mean, it's if you're really struggling, if you're struggling this early in general in fantasy, then you're probably not going to win regardless. But yeah, if you have a competitive roster and you need Paris Campbell on your team, then that's just sad. There's a lot better options at flex positions.
Absolutely.
Grab a tight end; they're more consistent.
I would say that the defense without Shaq Leonard is a little bit more um, porous because the middle of the field was pretty well exploited by the tight end group. Well, O.J. Howard, I guess, last week, twice. He only caught the ball twice for 2 touchdowns. And this was after a lot of people were shitting on O.J. Howard, all in the subreddits, all over Facebook. Oh, he's washed. He ain't it. He's not even talented. It's very clear that, he got cut in Buffalo because, he wasn't even trying, couldn't even learn the playbook. Shows up on the roster for, wasn't even on the roster 2 weeks ago. Shows up, learns enough to basically get the start, and he has more catches than the other 2 tight ends got entire targets. So, I mean...
And it must be said, too, he was the number 3 tight end, really, in Tampa. So he never really had a fair shake. I think he's going to be good in Houston. I really do.
Yeah, somewhere where he's going to have to be depended on, which is going to be different than anywhere else. But this brings me to another thing. Matt Ryan's arm seemed to not want to be the arm of old. If we just... It looks like he's aging pretty rapidly with his throwing motion and everything. So I think this might be his final year based on that. Last season he did not end up doing very well. He had barely missed out on having another 4,000-yard season, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The lowest amount of touchdowns he's had since he was a rookie. I would say that Indianapolis has roughly the same amount of weapons that Atlanta did. So, I mean, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley was gone most of the year last year.
Yeah, they had Cordell Patterson, but I mean...
Russell Gage.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, you got Cordell Patterson, who's basically a hybrid. He's just an athlete at this point. He's just a running back / receiver. I mean, shit, he still wears number 84 for some reason.
Yeah. Playmaker.
Basically. He's got a lot of talent to him, and I'm not saying he doesn't, but I mean, he's not Jonathan Taylor, but the rest of the wide receiver core kind of stacks up the same. This is by far probably the best offensive line he's had in a long time, and he still got sacked and had a pretty rough outing, including a couple hits that he took on runs for first downs, which I didn't know he could do. But I don't know. There were a lot of throws that were if this was 2 or 3 years ago, that would have been he was on point then, and now he just seems just off. Yeah. So I think this is going to be his final year, Colts fans. So if that's not what you want to hear,
be another year with a no quarterback every single year with the Colts
until they end up drafting somebody who's not balls. Now let's talk about the other side of the field on this one. Jacksonville coming into this game with no injuries, literally no names on the injury report. That is huge. They're a young team and they need all the players available as often as humanly possible. And that's how you build chemistry and you gel together and you're all hanging out. You're doing the same activities. You're just kind of going to be a better team because of it. And honestly, they're a lot better than last year. And last year they ended the season on a surprising win over the Colts, who were trying to make a playoff appearance. They win that game, they're in the playoffs. Who got in because of them losing? Wouldn't
Baltimore? Or no, it was Pittsburgh. It's
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh should have been at home last year, on the couch. And instead, we had a Ben Roethlisberger farewell tour in the playoffs where he looked terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that happens again here with the Jags just crushing the hopes of all the Colts with another defeat, extending their streak to 8, and continuing the 0-2 streak, at least from last year and this year, for the Colts. Beyond that, I think Trayvon Walker's going to have a pretty solid day. I mean, shit, if Jerry Hughes can have 2 sacks and a pick. And
Walker's going to have 4. He'll range it too.
Yeah. The team as a whole, I think, only had 2 sacks last week, the Jags. Mm-hmm. No, maybe they only had 1. 1 feels right. And it was Trayvon Walker who had it. So, I think he's going to continue that. I think he's going to flip around, be on both sides to rush. He's going to be seeing a lot of Braden Smith and Bernard Raymond. And I think he's going to work Raymond.
Yeah, rookie on rookie violence. It's going to be nice.
You're damn right it's going to be nice. And then you're going to see Braden Smith get the old once-over by the rook, I think. There's one good time. We'll see it.
Yeah, I really hope to see Jacksonville get a win in this one.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty incredible. And I really hope they lean more. I know we talked about this on our recast, but I really hope ETN gets the ball a little bit more. He flashed a lot. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah. 4 for 47 on the ground last week. That's pretty damn solid.
Yeah, I think 3 catches as well for about 30 yards. Like, not bad.
No, not bad at all.
For his debut.
Yep. I think he'll kind of adjust pretty quickly into this running back guy by committee aspect in Jacksonville. And then I'm kind of excited to see how Trevor Lawrence is going to play. Part of me doesn't want him to be anything, and the other part of me wants to see like great players exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily like a chaos thing. It's just more of like, there's just something about watching Peyton Manning or Tom Brady that feels different than watching, Ryan Tannehill or something.
Oh, that's cold. Did you not see Tannehill drop bombs?
Look, like Peyton though? Is he?
Yeah, you can't. They're very different players. Yeah, Peyton's way better. Yeah, 100%.
I'm not saying Tannehill ain't good. I mean, clearly he's pretty damn solid. He's been starting quarterback in the NFL basically his entire career.
Yeah, it's 2012.
Yeah, and got traded to the Titans for whatever, and
pack of Doritos or something. It was nothing.
Yeah, and ends up taking the job from Mariota, and I mean he only missed like 6 games.
Who? Tannehill?
Yeah, because he was the backup.
Yeah, he came in week 6. Yeah.
Okay. So
he's had no injuries or anything. He's been perfect for the Titans, minus that playoff game.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I want to see it happen. We got a bunch of young quarterbacks out here, and I want to see some more greatness out there on the field. So I'm kind of excited to see if Trevor Lawrence and Zay Jones and Christian Kirk can keep it up and kind of build a rapport and develop a little bit. That'd be just nice to see.
No doubt.
But let's move on to the 3:00 game. Houston travels to Colorado and the mile-high city of Denver to play the Broncos, who, if you lived under a rock last Monday, you might have missed that they lost to Russell's old team in Seattle on Monday Night Football. 17-16. That last drive was just...
That was sad.
They wasted 40 seconds to set up a 64-yard field goal. Like, literally, we're in position, wasted 40 seconds, called a timeout, and then kicked a field goal. The dumbest possible.
They were 4th and 4. You're going to take the ball out of Russell Wilson's hands. You traded for him. You gave away basically their entire future. Gave him $230 million. Yeah, and then you're going to kick a 64-yard field goal. Are you kidding me?
In a place like Seattle?
No, man. That was terrible coaching. And even what was his name? Their head coach. He even said that was a terrible idea.
Yeah. You talking about the Seahawks?
Oh
Or are
no,
you talking
the
about the Broncos
Broncos.
coach?
What's the new Nathaniel Hackett? Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett was just like, yeah, that was bad coaching. So yeah, dude, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll figure it out eventually, or he'll be a one and
Yeah,
done.
no, that's his first game coaching. I mean, you got to give him a little bit of slack, but hey, now he knows what not to do.
It's very true. With the Broncos, Javonte Williams looked really solid last week. Russell Wilson was kind of doing more of a West Coast offense, not really asked to stretch the field a whole lot. Um, the offensive line is better than he's had in a while. They have a two-headed monster with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon that they can get
Melvin
going.
Gordon's still fumbling though.
Yeah,
That's his thing. He loves fumbling.
Melvin get a Melvin, you know. But
Yeah, I can't believe I want to see that man's fumble number. Like, he fumbles so much in key situations. Like it's crazy. It's got to be a mental thing. He has no carrying. Carrying skill on Madden must be like a 12. Like it's bad.
it's got to be pretty low. But yeah, so Justin Simmons for the Broncos is on IR. That's a huge hit. He's a perennial Pro Bowler, All-Pro safety. That's just going to be one headache that Davis Mills does not have to worry about on Sunday. Their defensive line, like their front seven, didn't really get a lot of pressure on Geno Smith. I mean, he did have to occasionally, scramble out of the pocket when things were collapsing, but he wasn't sacked a whole hell of a lot. Their biggest sack producer is Bradley Chubb, or Randy Gregory. I'm sorry.
Randy Gregory looked good too.
Randy Gregory is good,
Yeah.
and I'm willing to bet that he'll be lined up against Titus Howard, who did not have his best game against the Colts, and they're going to try to exploit that. Another kind of weakness here on the O-line, there's a rumor going around that Justin Britt, the Houston Texans center, will be retiring after his terrible Week 1 performance. He was getting absolutely mollywopped. I watched the All 22 on the NFL Plus after the game, probably like a couple days after the game, whenever it's available. And a lot of plays, he is getting absolutely turned around and just sat in Davis Mills' lap. So I think it's a combination of injuries and age and him realizing he can't play as well as he used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what is rumored to be happening. He is officially ruled out for Denver, but there's supposed to be some sort of announcement coming from the Texans either yesterday or today, and but nobody said anything. So, but Blake, how do you think, if there's a possibility that the Texans beat the Broncos, how do you think it happens?
They're gonna have to score some points. I think that's what it's gonna come down to. Denver's defense didn't look all that great. You just really have to keep them scoring. Hold on to the ball. Don't let Russell Wilson have it, because he can make miracles happen. I know he's getting older, but he's still Russell Wilson. You don't doubt that, man. And that's why it was such a big issue of Nathaniel Hackett not going for it on that 4th and 4 and kicking that 64-yarder, because I guarantee if you put the ball in Russell Wilson's hands, he would have converted that. You would have saved a timeout. You would have probably got at least saved 20 seconds and then got at least a little bit closer. Because even if that was a 60-yarder, he probably would have made that.
Yeah. I mean, he kicked the hell out of it, but
he did. It just went left.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, I think Houston has to do a couple things differently. One, Rex Burkhead cannot be the lead running back.
No, Pierce got to get the ball more. Big time.
If Pierce gets cooking, doing his thing, I think that opens up a lot more in the offense. Mm-hmm. So, we didn't have much of a run game last week, and no wonder. I mean, DeForest Buckner, a perennial All-Pro, Pro Bowler, right up the middle on Justin Britt and AJ Cann, who both had terrible games. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's no wonder that things weren't working in the run game, but it definitely put a lot more pressure on Mills to be even more precise and playmaking. Mm-hmm. So if we can get that run game going, takes a lot off Mills, takes a lot off the offensive line, because then they can just kind of do their normal run blocking assignments on play actions, essentially, and everybody will buy in, and it just becomes super easy. So that's my key to beating Denver, is running the ball. Penny had a pretty solid game against the Broncos defense. There were a couple runs where I thought he was about to just take it all the way to the house. But I think Pierce and Penny are comparable running backs. I think Penny actually has a lot more top end speed, but Pierce has some explosiveness that he'll be able to get like a good 20, 25 yard pop. I think if that can happen, I think the Texans have a decent shot at winning the ball game, and the defense needs to not collapse in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, stay consistent. Play four quarters of football. That was their big issue last week. Well, play 5 quarters in y'all's instance.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, the fourth quarter we allowed 17 points. The other 4 quarters combined, we allowed 3. So
rough day to be a Houston fan last week. But at least you didn't lose, I guess.
That's true. It's better than losing for the Texans, at least. We talked about him earlier, Jerry Hughes. How long can he get it to last? 2 sacks last week, a pass deflection, a tackle for loss, and an interception, return for 14 yards. In his 13th season, age 34. How long do you think he can last?
He's probably year to year kind of dude.
I mean, like, how long do you think their production keeps up? All of last season for Buffalo, he had 2 sacks. He had 2 sacks in week 1 for Houston.
I think Cameron Wade did that a few years ago. He had 3 sacks in one game. That's all he had all season. I mean, he played until he was 40 years old, but they just kept using him. He just bounced around year to year, just coming their situational pass rusher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think he's situational at this point. I think Jerry Hughes is actually like full on playing like all the time. Yeah. And there was a lot of plays that happened on that defense. So that's a lot of reps. That's an old man.
Mm-hmm.
That's some wear and tear on the body, but Jonathan Grenard basically didn't do anything last week. He had 1 tackle for loss, so hopefully we can get that man to do something. That would take a lot of pressure off of Jerry Hughes instead of having to be the guy at 34 years old. Mm-hmm. But that brings us to the final game. Buffalo. It's in Buffalo, right?
It is in Buffalo, Monday Night Football.
Okay. Tennessee travels to Buffalo on Monday night. And this is historically an older rivalry that kind of dates back to the playoff game for the old Houston Oilers organization blowing like a 38-3 lead. So this is a rivalry that stands for a while. Hell, the Music City Miracle was against the Bills in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So they've been a part of the tradition of the Titans football that's been in Nashville for a while. Blake, what are you looking for out of the Titans this week?
For some points, man. My God, they just have to be consistent. That defense has to get to the quarterback, which is hard for Josh Allen. Titans, I mean, to pick up they were last year, they might as well change their name from Tennessee Titans to Tennessee Cripples because everyone's on the injury reserve or injury report this week. The entire offensive line basically is hurt. Dontrell Hilliard, the backup running back who got 2 touchdowns last week, he's ruled out for this game. Christian Fulton also out for this game. I don't think this man can play 16 games in a season. He's probably going to end up on IR again, which would make 3 seasons out of his 3 seasons. He's been on IR at some point. So that's rough. Roger McCreary only let up 1 catch for 5 yards last week as his rookie debut. So I think he's going to be all right. I'm worried about Caleb Farley because he's just not good at football. I haven't seen anything from him in his 5 career games. Even in preseason, he gets burned by people that are off the streets. I'm worried about this game. I am, but the Titans, they have a knack for beating good teams and losing to bad teams, and we have the number for the Bills. We always beat them, it seems like. I don't believe Josh Allen's beat the Titans before.
You're correct.
We beat them the last 2 years. And Titans have not also gone 0-2 since 2012. Tennessee, it's rare for us to lose back-to-back games. So I really do think we'll show up on Monday Night Football in Buffalo and win this game. I'm a little bit worried, but if I had to bet, I would have the Titans definitely at least covering the spread. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means.
So do you think Hassan Haskins will have to play an accelerated role now, or an expanded role, I should say?
I'm not sure if it'll be him or Julius Chestnut. It's going to be one of them. Mike Vrabel likes to keep the cards close to him, and I really don't know which running back he's going to throw out there. I do think Derrick Henry's going to probably play a lot more than he did last week. And then I think the Titans also need to get Austin Hooper more involved. We got to quit throwing to Jeff Swain. He's just not good at football.
Yep.
He's a good blocker, just not a pass catcher. Kyle Phillips is hurt. He might not play. So Traylon Burks needs to get it. Robert Woods needs to get the football more. He only had one catch for 13 yards. And Robert Woods looked good out there. Like, at least the routes that he ran and his run blocking was pretty phenomenal. Titans have some pieces there on offense. The offensive line didn't let up any sacks last week. There was one coverage sack, but that was more on Tannehill than anything. As long as all the offensive linemen play, I think we should be fine.
I chose the Bills because of their Week 1 performance.
Mm-hmm.
Their Week 1 performance was top to bottom, lights out football.
Mm-hmm.
31-10 over last year's champions. Obviously, they don't have all of the same pieces from last year. The offensive line has, fluctuated. I'm pretty sure the center left and is now.
And Stafford was playing pretty hurt week
Yes.
1. So that was another thing I kind of like looking at this. Like, they did not get 100% Stafford. They really didn't even get like 80% Stafford. He looked pretty hurt out there, and he just was throwing the ball kind of recklessly, and it looked really bad.
Yeah.
Like, also, man, Jalen Ramsey was getting cooked out there. I don't know. He must have been drinking or something for that game because he looked real bad.
You're absolutely correct. Stafford ended up throwing 4 picks. They ate Stafford alive when they were sacking him. This is a new defense that has Von Miller on it now, who had 2 or 3 sacks in the game.
Von Miller looked great.
He looked amazing. I think that's going to give the Titans a Chandler Jones level problem early in this game, and I want to see how they adjust. But I trust the Bills defense, at least so far, more than I trust the Titans defense. I mean, you're able to keep the last year's Super Bowl champion down to 10 points. That's just hard to do against anybody, and let alone the Super Bowl champ. So I had to give them the nod with that. I think Josh Allen is probably playing some of his best ball and right out the gate. So, good luck. You got, Fulton out. So, Diggs is going to be followed around by who? McCreary?
Probably. God, I hope it's not Farley.
Yeah.
And they elevated Chris Jackson. Elijah Molden's on IR.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be rough. Ugo Amadi, he had a pretty good game last week, so I imagine he'll probably play an elevator role. He'll probably get the nod over Farley.
I mean, probably. Farley's just not been it.
No, he's terrible. He's fat. I mean, he's an athlete, but I mean, we're not playing track. We're playing football.
Right. Well, we're kind of getting close to the end here. Do you have any closing remarks, Blake?
Oh, I just wish Titans played on Sunday. I hate primetime games.
The Monday primetime game.
Yeah,
I'll be working.
I got jobs and such. It's gonna be late night.
I gotta be working a double, so won't even really get to sit down and watch that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the next game after that, I will. But thank you for watching, everybody. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of September. We're already halfway there, and then some, and we're at 52. So we only need 48 more. 48 more. 48 more. 48. Sorry. Math is difficult. We only need 48 more. So go ahead. Maybe you're one of those people. We got, you can always unsubscribe later if you think we suck. That's totally fine. That's a that's a thing. We're not going to hate you for it. Just subscribe. Help us get there. If you subscribe and you comment, or you subscribe and you tweet at us, Curtis Podcast or Curtis PD Network on Twitter, you will be entered in a chance to win one free item from the merch store, cpnshop.squarespace.com, for anybody who's curious. And that's going to do it for this AFC South show 56, people. Blake, thank you for coming on, and thank you all for watching, and be good people.
Yes, sir.